Hello, my name is Sridhar Basar. I'm a BTech second year student from GGSRP New Delhi. So today we are going to continue with the question series of Geography Chapter 1. The class is class 9 of CBSE board and the subject is social studies. So let's continue with the second part. So the first question of the second part of this question series is, what is the longitudinal extent of India? Mention the degree of longitude of for the standard meridian. State the importance of standard meridian. So basically the longitudinal extent of India is 68 degrees 7 e seconds east and 97 degree 25 seconds east. The degree of longitude of standard meridian of India is 82 degree 30 seconds east. According to the international accepted convention, the standard meridian of a country must be either a multiple of 7.5 or 15, or it has to be something which passes through some important part of a city. Though 82 degree 30 seconds east meridian does not pass through exact center of the country, but it is chosen as standard meridian as it passes through an important city called Mirzapur. It is 2 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. GMT is Greenwich Mean Time. The second question is, what is latitudinal extent of India? How is latitudinal spread in India advantageous to her? Her is basically India. State 2 points. So the answer to this question is, the Indian Union is situated between about 8 degrees for 4 seconds north and 37 degree 6 seconds north. This north-south extent is about 3,200 kilometers in length. So the southern part of India gets more heat from sun than the northern parts, hence it is advantageous for cultivation as well as for various industrial processes. The difference between the duration of the day and the night is far more than in northern parts than in the southern parts. So these are the 2 points. Next question is question number 3. So in this we have been asked to explain the significance of India's eminent position in the Indian Ocean. So the significances are noted in the following points. The first point is, this helps India to establish close contact with West Asia, Africa, Europe from the western coast, and with Southeast and Southeast Asia from the Southeast and East Asia from the eastern coast. Second point is, the sea routes have contributed in exchange of ideas, commodities, and trade as well. So third point is, India's main position in Indian Ocean is, the ideas of Upanishads and Ramayana, Indian numerals, and the decimal system could reach to the many parts of the world only through the Indian Ocean. Hence, it is a significant part of India's eminent position. The fourth point is, the spices, muslin, and other merchandises that were taken to the other countries, that is basically export, was made easier and simpler to reach worldwide via this Indian Ocean. The fifth point is, influence of Greek sculpture and styles of dome and minarets can be seen in our country only because they were imported from other nations that inherited via the Indian Ocean's position. So let's move on to the next question. It's question number 4. Describe the implications of India's longitudinal extent. So in this question, we have been asked about the implications of India's longitudinal extent. So the 3 points that can contest this question are, India's geographical location is favorably important for international trade, as we discussed in the previous question. The second point is, due to its central location in the Eastern Hemisphere, India lies on the major trade routes and hence has connection with Southeast Asia, Asia, Europe, and many parts of the worldwide. The third answer to this question is, it has helped in establishing close cultural and commercial contacts with these countries. So let's move on to the next question. It's question number 5. Name the major island groups lying in the Arabian Sea. Explain any two major features of it. So the answer to this question is, the major island groups lying in the Arabian Sea are Lakshadweep group. It consists of many small islands opposite to Kerala coast in the Arabian Sea. So now let's explain major features of it. The major features are, it composes of small coral islands that cover a small area of around 32 square kilometers. Kavaratti Island is an administrative headquarters. Now let's move on to the second point. The second point is, it has a great diversity of flora and fauna. Flora is basically animals, and flora is basically plants, animals, and variety of flowers. And fauna is basically the animals and living organisms. Lakshadweep consists of 11 islands, so it's obviously a heritage for a nation with lots of flora, fauna, coral islands, etc. The fourth point is, most of the area is cultivated with coconut, hence it provides a major cultivation of coconut, hence it is important. And the fifth point is, the bird sanctuary is located in the Piti Island is inhabited by humans, hence birds are also being protected in this Arabian Sea lying island group. Next question is question number 6. Why is the difference between the duration of day and night hardly felt at Kanyakumari but not so in Kashmir? So the answer to this question is Kanyakumari is just 8 degrees away from the equator. As equator receives the direct sun rays, there would not be hardly any difference between day and night. Whereas Kashmir is 37 degrees away from the equator. So the difference between the duration of day and night is about 5 years, and it is clearly visible in Kashmir. So the next question is, what is meant by the standard Indian Standard Time? What is its important? So IST, the Indian Standard Time, is a standard which is accepted all over India, where we have accepted 82 degrees 37 seconds east longitude as the standard meridian of India. It was accepted as it lies almost in the middle, and it is a part, and it lies in a major central location called Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. The Indian Standard Time has great importance. So let's explain it. So first point for this, for proving the statement is, it has prevented a lot of confusion and brought harmony in time throughout the country. That is, overall country has the same time followed by the IST, that is located in the Mirzapur district of Uttar Pradesh. The second point is the local time at each longitude is different. So in order to follow one timing, India has accepted 82 degrees 30 seconds east as the standard meridian of India. So let's proceed to the next question. It's a HOTS question. HOTS is basically higher order thinking skills. So the question is basically asking to explain as the statement that India has a long coastline, which is advantageous. So in this question, we have to discuss the advantages of India having a long coastline as compared to other nations. So first of the few points are, India has the longest coastline on the Indian Ocean. The longest coastline, that is 7,517 kilometers stretch. It has been given a tremendous boost to India's maritime trade. Almost 90% of India's international trade is carried through the sea. Hence, it is important. Second part is, India has a long coastline mainly due to the Deccan Peninsula extending in Indian Ocean and dividing it into two water bodies, that are Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. The third part is, India's central location at the head of Indian Ocean and its long coastline much helped its interaction through the sea. So the sea routes passing through the ocean provide easy connectivity to India with the west and with the east as well. The fourth point to support this long coastline of India's advantages is, India has developed many major ports on its western and eastern coasts. Some of them, such as Mumbai, Kochi, Visakhapatnam, are of international importance, and they have become centers of India's flourishing shipping industry. So let's discuss the last few points. That is, the long coastline of India, Arabian Sea, and the Bay of Bengal has helped India to establish close maritime contacts in the following ways: with West Asia, Africa, and Europe from the western coast, that is the western side of India, and with East Asia and Southeast Asia from the eastern coast of India. So let's discuss the next question, that is question number 9. So the question asks, how is India's geographical location favorable for the international trade? So see, all the questions are interrelated. Like this question number 8 is also like the coastline. How is it important? Strength, length of coastline. You must remember. You can use this important facts in all the questions. So the answer to this particular question is, due to central location of India, the head of Indian Ocean, countries such as East Africa, West Asia, South and Southeast Asia are easy to reach through via India through the sea routes. Next point is, unlike landlocked countries, that is countries which are surrounded only by land on all sides, it has an easy access to outside the world. Hence, India, due to its V shape, is easy access from three directions, that is east, west, as well as the south. Hence making it more wider, giving it a wider variety and stretch to access with the maritime industries and trade with different countries. India is connected with the Europe, North America and South America, Africa at the both time. At the same time, both the routes, Cape of Good Hope and the Suez Canal. India can also reach Canada and USA through the Strait of Malacca after crossing the Pacific Ocean. Indeed. Now, the last point to support this question is, India is favorably located on the world's highway of trade and commerce, both to the east and west, as discussed. Hence, India's geographical location is favorable for international trade as well. So now let's discuss with the question number 10. That is certainly the last question of our question series of geography first chapter. So the question states and asks, us to explain the statement that how did India's contact with the rest of the world contribute in the exchange of ideas and commodities. We have to explain how did India's connection with the rest of the world and other countries help in increasing the exchange of ideas as well as goods. So the first point is India held an important position in the ancient world. It had trade relations with many countries. One of the famous land routes was connected to the famous Silk Route of China. So basically helping in exchanging of ideas as well as commodities in the form of silk. The second point is these routes contributed in the exchange of ideas and commodities since the ancient times. Also in the modern time, they prevail to be one of the fastest modes of transport. The third point is the ideas of Upanishads and the Ramayana, the stories of Panchatantra, the Indian numerals, and the decimal system thus could reach many parts of the world. The spices, the muslin, and other merchandise were taken from India to different countries. On the other hand, the influence of Greek sculpture and the architectural styles of dome and minarets from West Asia can be seen in different parts of the nation. The last point to support the answer is India has trade relations with Southeast Asian countries like Cambodia, Java, Sumatra, Bali, Sri Lanka, Burma, and Siam. Siam is basically old name, so is Sumatra and Bali. But nonetheless, due to the ancient history of India and its trade, we can still be proud of our nation and hence can declare that it's an important contributor in the worldwide for the exchange of ideas, commodities, and sea trade. So thank you. I hope this is clear to you all.